sea is about to burn, and when it does, the Dance of the Dragons will never recover. You think you've seen chaos in House of the Dragon? You haven't seen anything yet. Because Season 3 isn't building toward war, it's unleashing it. The Battle of the Gullet isn't just another fight. It's the moment dragons stop being symbols of power and start becoming targets. And once the first dragon falls into the ocean, everything changes. What if I told you the most devastating battle in House of the Dragon isn't fought on land, but at sea? Wait until grief drives strategy. The Battle of the Gullet isn't just another spectacle moment. It's the emotional fracture point of the Dance of the Dragons. It's where pride collides with reality, where dragons prove they are mortal, where heirs prove they are not invincible, and where the war stops being about who deserves the throne and becomes about who survives long enough to sit on it. So when you rewatch that trailer and see smoke over the ocean, remember, that's not an atmosphere, that's a warning. Season 3 isn't building toward tension, it's detonating it. And once the sea starts burning, there's no putting it out. Not in a throne room, not inside a castle, but in open water, where there's nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, and nowhere to survive. Because if Season 3 is truly setting up the Battle of the Gullet, then we're not just getting another dragon fight. We're about to witness the moment the Dance of the Dragon stops being a royal family dispute and becomes total annihilation. And the scary part? This battle doesn't just change the war, it breaks it. Let's talk about the trailer clues. You probably noticed the smoke, the ocean shots, the fleet formations. But here's what most people missed. The camera doesn't just show water randomly, it lingers on it. It builds tension around it. The sound design feels heavy, almost suffocating. That's not aesthetic. That's setup. The Gullet is the narrow channel between Driftmark and King's Landing. Strategically, it's everything. Whoever controls it controls trade, reinforcements, food supply. Basically survival. And right now in the dance, survival is fragile. So when the trailer shows multiple dragons flying over open water, that's not flexing CGI. That's foreshadowing mass destruction. But here's where it gets insane. The Gullet isn't just important because of ships. It's important because of who's on them. If the show follows the source material closely, this battle becomes a defining moment for Jacaerys Velaryon. Young, ambitious, desperate to prove himself. And let's be honest, that's dangerous in a war fueled by pride. Jace isn't reckless like Aemond. He's strategic. But he's also carrying the pressure of legacy. He wants to be seen as worthy. He wants to show he can command, not just inherit. So when does conflict erupt at the Gullet? He doesn't sit back, he leads. And that decision changes everything. Because the Battle of the Gullet isn't clean, it's chaos. Warships collide, flaming debris crashes into the sea. Dragons dive through smoke so thick they can barely see. And once dragons enter open naval combat, the sky becomes just as deadly as the water. Wait, did you catch that? Naval combat. Dragons were built for domination in open air, not tactical warfare above moving ships in tight channels. The Gullet restricts movement. Ships can't maneuver well. Dragons can't easily reposition. Once you commit, you're trapped. And traps in this universe rarely end well. You think this battle is going to be epic. Visually? Yes. Emotionally? Devastating. Because this is where the war stops being about succession and starts being about survival. Up until this point, both sides still believe they can win. After the Gullet, they realize they can only endure. And endurance in Westeros comes at a cost. The trailer's rapid cuts between dragon shadows and burning wood suggest something else too. Scale. This isn't one dragon versus a few ships. This is escalation. Multiple dragons. Massive fleets. Coordinated assaults. Which means something terrifying. Both sides are going all in. And when both sides go all in, someone important doesn't come back. Now let's talk about the wild card. Aemond Targaryen. You already know what kind of energy he brings. Cold. Calculated. Slightly unhinged. He rides Vhagar, the largest living dragon. That alone shifts the power dynamic in any battle. But here's what makes the Gullet even more terrifying. Aemond doesn't just fight to win, he fights to dominate. So imagine this scenario, fleets clashing, smaller dragons weaving through smoke, and then Vhagar enters. It's not a duel anymore. It's extinction. And if Aemond is involved, and the trailer heavily suggests escalating dragon presence, then we're not just watching tactics. We're watching ego collide with desperation, and ego in the dance always leads to disaster. Here's something most casual viewers miss. The Gullet is one of the first major moments where dragons become vulnerable in large-scale war. Up until now, dragons have felt unstoppable. But in naval combat, ships carry scorpions. Archers have clear lines of sight. Coordinated volleys become possible. Dragons aren't invincible. And once that illusion cracks, fear spreads. Because if dragons can die at sea, they can die anywhere. That realization changes strategy forever. You thought dragons were the ultimate weapon. But really? They're liabilities. Huge, emotional, pride-driven liabilities. And once both sides realize that, the war becomes uglier. Less strategic, more desperate. Let's zoom out for a second. Rhaenyra starts this war believing in destiny, believing in her right, believing in legacy. The Gullet tests all of that. Because this isn't just about territory. It's about loss. And loss transforms rulers. If Jace suffers, or worse, if leadership falters under chaos, Rhaenyra doesn't respond with calm diplomacy. She responds with escalation. That's the pattern. Pain leads to rage, rage leads to fire, and fire leads to more suffering. You thought the dance was tragic before? The Gullet is the emotional acceleration point. After this battle, restraint dies. Let's break down why this battle is so uniquely brutal. The Gullet is narrow. Ships crowd each other. Visibility drops due to smoke. Dragons must fly lower to target moving fleets. That means increased exposure to scorpion bolts. In open fields, dragons dominate. In tight naval corridors, they gamble. And war at sea adds one more horrifying detail. If a dragon falls, it falls into water. Fire meets ocean. Steam erupts. Riders drown. There's no glorious crash into land, just chaos and silence. The trailer's heavy focus on smoke drifting across waves, that's not random. That's the aftermath. If Season 3 opens with the Gullet, we are not easing back into the story. We're starting with catastrophe. That sets the tone. It tells the audience, nobody is safe. Not heirs. Not dragon riders. Not fleets. And once viewers see dragons struggling in war conditions, the psychological power of the greens and the blacks shifts. Because dragons were the symbol of control. And control is slipping. Here's the real twist. The Battle of the Gullet doesn't end the war, it multiplies it. Every loss fuels retaliation. Every fallen dragon becomes propaganda. Every burned ship becomes a rally cry. The small folk suffer more. The nobles grow more ruthless. And alliances begin to fracture. Because once blood fills the sea, trust drowns with it. You thought the throne room politics were dangerous? Wait until grief drives strategy. The Battle of the Gullet isn't just another spectacle moment, it's the emotional fracture point of the Dance of the Dragons. It's where pride collides with reality, where dragons prove they are mortal, where heirs prove they are not invincible, and where the war stops being about who deserves the throne and becomes about who survives long enough to sit on it. So when you rewatch that trailer and see smoke over the ocean, remember, that's not atmosphere, that's a warning. Season 3 isn't building toward tension, it's detonating it. And once the sea starts burning, there's no putting it out.